Good evening. My name is Faisal Elkhatib and I'm with betterinformedhousing.org. We are a nonprofit located for the purpose of providing education and information to people about real estate. So I wanted to talk briefly to everyone about real estate. So, my name is Faisal Elkhatib, and our biggest issue that I thought we'd talk about today is vacant and abandoned buildings in your neighborhoods. So the question is really, and where that goes to is the what I call the 1,200-foot rule. So the 1,200-foot rule is pretty straightforward. In Illinois, if there is a property that is within 1,200 feet, oh hello to Facebook Live members, sorry I was late. Anyways, 1,200-foot rule states essentially that if there's a property that is within 1,200 feet, which is about 2 city blocks from your property, that substantially impacts your property, and that could be substantially impacted in terms of it's vacant, it's abandoned, it's boarded up, it's impacting your value, or also the other statute is it generates a dangerous and hazardous condition. So a dangerous and hazardous condition could mean anything that's dangerous and hazardous. It creates crime, there's problems, the building's going to fall apart. It could even be the construction. So if somebody's building a house next to you and that's about to fall on top of you or fall over your house, that could be dangerous and hazardous conditions. So now I've got this 1,200-foot rule. What does that mean? Well, under the 1,200-foot rule, you have a right and a way to actually create a lawsuit and go and intervene into that property. So by that I mean, for example, normally, cities or municipalities can bring building violations against buildings for not following the building codes. Well, you start out by notifying the city saying, hey, this property is impacting my property, or it's creating a dangerous and hazardous condition. The municipality, the city, has 30 days or more to file its own lawsuit. And it depends on which statute you use, will be a different time frame, but they have a certain period that they have to. If they don't file their lawsuit, then you have a right to file your own lawsuit against the property. Well, why the hell would you want to file a lawsuit against another property? Well, here's the beautiful thing. You file the lawsuit against the property and now you're in front of a judge. If you're in front of a judge, you tell the judge, I want somebody to fix this, and if no one's going to fix it, you'll fix it. Well, why would anyone want to fix somebody else's property? Because by fixing it, you get appointed as a receiver. Now, if you've been watching this show at any point in time, which there's probably about 3 of you who've been watching this show since we started this 3 years ago, but if you are appointed as a receiver, you get the right to attach a lien to the property, which is above and beyond everybody else's lien. We call that a super priority lien. A super priority lien means you come ahead of the bank. You come ahead of the owner, you come ahead of everybody else. So where this has become effective, and we're working with many of our clients and many of our associates and affiliates with, is properties that are vacant and abandoned. Okay, now of course you could probably do this to your neighbor who's annoying you, but they'd have to be known in the lawsuit, and now you're creating a whole different problem. We're not talking about that. Really, our focus on using this statute, which was pushed forth by Mayor Harold Washington in the 80s, was to stem the tide of the vacant and abandoned buildings. So, for example, the building next to you, if it is vacant and abandoned, it will create a problem. So you ask the municipality, the city, fix this. They don't. If they don't fix it, you get to file your own lawsuit. And if they don't file a lawsuit, you file your own lawsuit. You have to name all the parties on title, right? I wouldn't let, if you do this, if you're not a lawyer, or if you don't have a lawyer, I wouldn't recommend doing this. But you have this power. So this has been applied, and it's being applied to what we call zombie properties. And if you've watched this show at any point in time historically, we've talked about zombie properties a couple times. Zombie properties are just like the zombies on The Walking Dead, or any of the other zombie TV shows. You've got a body, but no brain. The owner's dead, the owner's gone, the bank doesn't want it, won't foreclose, the tax buyer won't buy the taxes, and they don't want it anymore, so they go to certificate of error. Point is, nobody wants this property and it just sits there vacant and abandoned. Well, the impact on your property is it drops the value of your property. So if you've got one of these next to you, your value is dropping. If you've got 2 of these or 3 of these or 5 of these, now you're looking at a serious problem. Now what you thought was $100,000 on your property or more, you've now lost $100,000 in value of the property because you have nothing but abandoned buildings around you. A huge problem in the south side and the west side of Chicago. But believe it or not, it's a huge problem across the suburban municipalities. You've got them in every major municipality that has this problem. And they don't have it by ones or twos or tens or fives. We're talking about properties that have hundreds of properties that are vacant and abandoned. So imagine if you are next to this property or within 2 city blocks of this property, you now have an opportunity to not only change the dynamic of your neighborhood or your block, but you also have an opportunity to acquire property for next to nothing. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying property for next to nothing. Merely all I'm saying is you don't have a problem with the vacant building anymore, and now when the value wasn't feasible to buy it out or pay everybody off because the taxes were too high or the issues were too many or the bank was asking for too much, you now have an opportunity to fix the property and acquire it. So essentially for your legal expense and cost, you now have a property for simply that cost. So the benefits of the 1,200-foot rule. Now there are 2 Illinois statutes that give this power, so it's throughout the entire state. It's not just in the city of Chicago and applies to all cities. Now I'll remind you guys, this is a live show. I'm on Facebook Live and I'm on CAN TV Live. I've got 1 minute left, they told me, so I got to get off the show fast. It's a short show, but I think I hit right to the point. So you've got, if you want to call within the next 30 seconds, I feel like I'm selling a blender or something, it's 312-738-1060. If you want to know more about this, you can reach us at, on the web PC, we're at betterinformed.org, and it's right here. Let's find this really quickly while I'm still on the screen. Somehow this is not working like I should. 312-533-2688. You can email me at neighbors, spelled properly, neighbors with an S, at betterinformed.org. Or you can check us on our website at www.betterinformed.org. I think I only have 3 seconds left. My name is Mahmoud Faisal Elkhatib. This is Better Informed Housing. It's been an honor to see you tonight. Take care.